Welcome to episode 4 of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. I'm Ed Dollister.
And I'm Mitch Halleck.
That's right. And today we're going to be
a second.
What's wrong?
I didn't know who it was. Yeah, it must be the fumes from all the plastic here. I'm sorry.
It's probably the fumes from your Batman cereal seeping through finally.
Have we reached 1,000 people yet, Ed?
Not yet. But we are getting lots of subscribers. So thank you to those people who have subscribed. And of course, thank you for watching each and every episode. We really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your friends as well.
Now, I've told everybody I know about it.
Well, that's right. I was sort of saying that to the listeners and the viewers to tell their friends.
Oh,
but tell your friends as well. That's okay.
Oh, okay. Well, you're it, Ed. I don't have any other friends.
I find that very hard to believe.
I just sit down here and I put what?
I was going to say, we are talking today about
what, Ed?
A classic series, the 1978 television series Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
And we thought we could, maybe look at a classic TV series from the past that we both, really enjoyed in a bit of a shorter show. We'll see how we go.
Will Billy Barty be on the show?
God
rest Billy Barty.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ed.
Anyway, so we thought we'd talk about 1978's Battlestar Galactica. And most of you, of course, already know everything there is to know about Battlestar Galactica. It came out in 1978, produced by, I suppose, Uber producer, would you call him Glenn A. Larson?
Yeah.
He's responsible for, later on, for Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, for Magnum P.I., a stack of...
Tales of the Gold Monkey.
Really, as well. We had, what else was there? There was A-Team.
Art Castle McCormick. There was a lot of...
Classics.
Classic Matt. I don't know if he did Matt Houston.
Oh, my gosh. Matt Houston.
I'm getting confused with Donald Belisario.
He was involved as well. So they all had that. And I suppose if we rewind back to 1977, a little science fiction movie came out and everyone was scrambling to try and replicate that success. Glenn A. Larson had a movie called, we had an idea for a series. It was I think called Star World or Saga.
No. Adam's Ark.
Adam's Ark. Actually, you're
Adam's Ark.
Right. It was
and you know what? It was 1968. He had that idea for 10 years. He was going to do. That's the story.
Yes.
Because just like you, I've heard the same thing where it was just a ripoff, and I always thought it was a ripoff of Star Wars. So much so that there was a lawsuit.
There was.
George Lucas sued ABC and Glenn Larson for copyright infringement, I believe.
Yep. And he lost.
He did lose. Well, I could see why people thought it was similar because he had a lot of the special effects folks, John Dystra, all the folks that had just done Star Wars, went down the street to work on this Battlestar Galactica. So that's why it looked very similar.
That's right. Because the effects were fantastic and still are really good today. There was Joe Johnston who worked on it as well. Yeah. And Ralph McQuarrie actually did the concept art for it.
So, and Star Wars trio there.
Yeah. So, they're pretty...
Tippett too.
Oh, there you go. So it had a look that felt like it would, live within the Star Wars world, I guess. Mm. And it was originally going to be 3 telemovies. So they were going to do 3 big movies. And it ended up, the first telemovie became super successful. It was released in cinemas. Certainly in Australia, it was released.
It was here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was
it was released in Sense-Around.
Yes, it was. In fact, this is what we are in now, Sense-Around.
Oh, I know, but we don't have the big vibrator thing. At least I don't have it here. It was Sense-Around, for people that don't know, was basically a giant subwoofer.
Pretty much. That you sat on it.
Yep. Yeah. So whenever there was an explosion, it would go, and the whole theater would shake. And I saw Battlestar Galactica. I saw Earthquake in Sense-Around,
which was the first. I think Earthquake was the first film in Sense-Around back in
Roller Coaster. It was about a guy who was blowing up roller coasters.
That's right.
Anyway, and The Car. There was another movie called The Car about a demonic possessed car with James Brolin.
Sounds a little bit like Steven Spielberg's Duel.
It does. No, that was. That was there. I was thinking of
truck.
Stephen King's thing that Christine, which is about a possessed car, but that's years later.
Anyway,
we digress. We're talking about the Lords of Kobold.
That's right.
The Lords of Kobold.
Yes.
Give me a senton here. Come on, you frack.
Hey. Don't throw around any Felga carb, all right?
Hey,
this is a family show.
Oh, yeah? Then we won't talk about Cassiopeia's little profession she had on that pleasure planet.
I know. Well, that was only for the movie, and then she became a medic.
A nurse, yeah. How'd that go? Yeah.
I don't know. Well, everyone has...
She was a space hooker, Ed. She was a space hooker. Let's put it out there.
Anyway, people don't even know what we're talking about yet. So
I don't think we know what we're talking about.
So Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica came around. The movie, the telemovie and movie was a huge success, a rating success. So they shifted gears and decided to make it a weekly series. It was the most expensive.
Big mistake.
Yeah, it was the most expensive TV series at the time, $1 million an episode. Starred fantastic Lorne Green as Adama. We had Richard Hatch as Apollo. Dirk Benedict as Starbuck, and then Herbert
Jensen.
Yes,
as Athena.
Yes, she was pretty cool.
But you were going to say Jane Seymour.
Jane Seymour was in it. We had Noah Hathaway as Boxy, and
Colonel Ty.
Oh yeah, Colonel Ty was really cool, and there was Jefferson.
Herbert Jefferson played Boomer.
He was. And it's funny because we've been watching Mission Impossible season 5. He was in that as a villain. We just had him turn up as a villain in The Bionic Woman. So it's funny.
Villains. You forgot John Colicos as
Boltar.
There you go.
And of course the Imperious leader they had, which was the voice. Which it was funny. Was the voice of Patrick McNee.
It was, and then who
he
played
did the
Lucifer?
voiceover at the start.
There are those who believe that life here began out there.
Yeah, he did. He did the little narration, like there they are, ragtag
the
fleet.
Final frontier, not that one.
No.
Yes.
It says stories of man talk about like people coming from space.
Oh, that's right. Life here started out there, or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah. Some believe that there's still brotherhood of man, still searching for the stars or something like that.
And basically, all the humankind was based on basically the zodiac. So there were the Geminins, they were called. There was the Aries, the Virgins.
Yeah.
There was all the Scorpions. There was all these different.
Scarabs. Their look took on a lot of Egyptian stuff. The helmets,
with the helmets,
the vipers. They look like a pharaoh's King Tut type of thing.
That's right. Well,
very chariots of the gods. Very that type of thing.
There was all that sort of stuff. And Glenn Larson was a Mormon, and he sort of injected a lot of his faith.
There's a lot of that
TV series as well. So
it
basically ratings suffered, and it was cancelled after one season. I was thinking
18 episodes.
Yeah, I thought it ran actually longer than that, but it feels like a 2 season show. But I suppose what happened was they decided to do after it got cancelled, there was a writing campaign, and in those days they didn't have a lot of writing campaigns, so they thought, well, let's bring it back. Richard Hatch wasn't really sure what they were going to do with his character. It was going to be a time travel sort of premise, and they ended up setting it in 1980. It was called Galactica 1980 or Galactica 80. And when they did it,
1980.
No, Galactica 1980. And they had, it was set 30 years after the original Battlestar Galactica, where Boxy.
Yeah, but it never made sense to me. Because when you were watching the original show, towards the end, I remember it was a really great episode. They were picking up signals from Earth because they were trying to find Earth. They didn't know where it was. They thought they were on a course, and they picked up some TV signals.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't follow it all the way, or they left the monitor before it was. And what the image was that came across the screen was the Apollo moon landing from 50 years ago. That's how the show ended. That was they were picking up the Sea of Tranquility, Neil Armstrong's transmission, and that was on the TV. So then you're thinking, okay, they're in space. They're trying to find the Earth. Somehow they're in the future a little bit because obviously the speed of light, the signal travels from the Earth. How far away were they that the 1969 July broadcast is out there in space? So then when they start on in 1980 for Galactica, like you
Yes.
said, Apollo was killed off screen. Starbuck was marooned on a planet. That's in Galactica 1980.
That's a
And
great episode, by the way. I like
that's the
that
only
one.
really good episode on
Yep.
that show. And Boxy is about mid late 20s, early 30s, maybe.
Yeah, Kent McCord and Barry Van Dyke, who I've been watching
Barry Van Dyke.
who I've been watching on Diagnosis Murder, and I look back and go, oh, that's where I remember him from, Galactica 1980.
And
So,
Robin Douglas, she was hot. She was the female interest on Galactica 1980.
Okay, I don't remember. I haven't watched that for quite a while. So,
I remember her.
well,
After the show got canceled, she did a Playboy pictorial. I'm like, that's a career move. You never heard from her again.
Well, that happened
Anyway.
after that same thing happened after your pictorial as well, Mitch. So
I did. After the IndieCast wasn't working, I did my Playboy spread. They don't make that magazine anymore.
Well, that's a shame.
Anyway, go back to Galactica.
Yeah.
What about it? Did you like it?
Battlestar Galactica?
As opposed to the...
I thought you meant Galactica
Ice
1980. No,
I like Galactica 1980.
Yeah.
I did. I don't know about you.
I didn't like Galactica 1980. It was just the
flying motorcycles.
Yeah, the flying motorcycles were... Yeah. What they did do, though, they turned Galactica 1980 into another movie, which was Mission Galactica: The Cylon Attack. Did you know that?
I did. Was that in the theaters?
Yeah, they released it in Australia.
Oh well, yeah,
I'll find a poster and I'll put it up.
They did not put it out here. You know what's so funny when you said the poster? I'm gonna go look it up. I think the artwork on the Battlestar Galactica poster was probably the same fellas that did the Star Wars one. No wonder it looks so much like Star Wars, for God's sakes.
Well, I think Frank Frazetta did one of the some of the artwork for Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, I think for the novelization or things like that. And overall, I really love Battlestar Galactica. It was even though it wasn't really like Star Wars, Dirk Benedict was Han Solo. Apollo was Luke. Adama was, Obi-Wan, General Dodonna. You had all those,
and then the big guy was Chewbacca, big heavy guy.
Yeah.
Began with a J. Junior? No,
not Junior. I'll try.
Oh my God, no! How could we? It was Jolly.
Jolly. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Jolly.
Good Jolly. Yep.
Of course he was Jolly. He was fat because anybody fat in the old shows before body shaming became a thing was Jolly, like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
He always how did he fit in that Colonial Viper?
They
gave him the Porkins seat. Yeah, got him the Jack Porkins seat.
Anyway, so I love Battlestar Galactica, and I have fond memories of it. In fact, I've got a picture here of me. This is me. Here we go. Ready?
I'm looking. Oh, look at you with your Cylon going crazy.
That's right. 1978. That's me and Glenn Coleman from 1978.
Where's Glenn Coleman now?
I caught up with him at a reunion probably a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
But Glenn was Starbuck. I was a Cylon Centurion. And I have lots of fond memories of that TV show because being a Star Wars kid, we got all the toys and everything like that. But I still could get a weekly sort of Star Wars sort of hit with Battlestar Galactica on TV weekly. And
remember that snow episode they did?
Sorry, say that again?
The snow episode, they were stuck out in the ice planet or something like that.
Oh, vaguely. There you go. A precursor to Hoth.
That's what I remember. I thought it was cool because they landed on alien worlds and such. And I was like, yeah, it was like there was like a factory underneath the ice or something.
I mean, that's one of the problems though with Battlestar Galactica it was a crash of the week. Apollo would crash one week, so they'd have to rescue him. Then, the other week it would be Starbuck who had to, crash or something like that. So it got a little formulaic.
And then there was always trouble with the colonists on board one of the ships, and they were upset. They didn't like what was going on, so they wanted to talk to Adama, and he had to settle them down. And and they all thought Adama was crazy for looking for Earth, and And then for a while, Balth, what am I going to say? Balthazar. Baltar was on
yeah.
board their ship. He was a traitor, but he was on their ship for a while, wasn't he? Or did he get? I could have swore at one point there was some interaction with him and
See,
Adama.
I think I'm getting confused with the modern version of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the modern one.
Neither am I.
What are you talking
Boltar on
about?
that, he kept seeing this Cylon.
Yeah,
and people would have thought he was crazy.
Six.
It just didn't. It just didn't. do
Trisha
it for me.
Helfer.
That's
Yeah.
right. It just didn't do it for me. But
I know. You know what drove me nuts when they were talking on old handset phones
oh yes,
and things like that, because they go, oh no, they had to use things that weren't digital because the Cylons were in everything, so they went for old headsets, and that art direction just killed it for me because I'm like, what is that? And then they had a museum on the new show where they had the old Cylon Centurion with the red light that we all knew.
yes,
And it was in a museum because that was from the earlier wars they had with them. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Is that you're blending the two things? I just got confused and I didn't stick with it. I gave up.
I thought the coolest thing in Battlestar Galactica were the space battles. I
The
thought
ship. I was the ship.
and the Cylons, and they were fantastic. The one thing
With the
though,
little red light.
Yep. One thing I did like about the show was the special effects, but after watching it back on DVD, you do notice they do reuse a lot.
Oh, every week. It was that one shot with the cannons going, and then that thing would explode in the upper.
And they just go.
Not
if
only
I can
you
find
probably
a
would have
clip,
noticed
I'll
it.
put it in. Yeah.
It was in the opening credits.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't put the same special effects shot in the opening credits every week and then put it on the show? Because we're all sitting there going.
Or they would flip it. They just mirror image it.
They would flip it. Or whenever they would launch, they'd all do the same launch thing from the hangar bay, and they'd all
like that. Yeah,
like that.
I mean, like, that was cool.
Did you ever think the helmet? See, I just thought it was lit up, but was that supposed to be like a shield in front of their face?
I don't think so.
See, it just lit up around their face. Their little pilot's helmet.
It was a lot better than the Battlestar Galactica, than the Buck Rogers helmets, I've got to say.
I didn't like that show.
Which looked like he was wearing an egg. I watched that on Super 8 yesterday as well, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Star Wars, did you buy a lot of the merchandise?
I did actually, and I've got some of it here that I used to get. I had the mask. The good old, because they were the cheap ones that you could get. But I had a few things. So I did get the 3 3/4 figures.
Oh, you got the figures?
Yeah, when they came out, they're pretty cool. They were released by Mattel, who brought them out.
Yeah, Mattel.
And I did read it when I was doing we do a little bit of research for the show. I was reading about, we do, don't you? Let's
make it up as we go. There was 2 waves of them, 4 in each wave.
There was. Mego basically was offered the license, and they went to whatever licensing meeting, and they didn't. They found it quite formulaic. The guy who was at the meeting and didn't pick up the license. He then picked up the license for Battlestar for Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Oh no! See, I thought he went and bought the Micronauts.
Oh well, they had Micronauts before that already.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And they had the black hole. Mego had the black hole figures as well. But I only got 3. So
that's Abrams, the guy that runs Mego. He was the one calling the shots.
Marty Abrams, isn't it?
Marty Abrams, yes.
That's right.
He made such a fortune on the Star Trek license. You think he would have jumped on this one?
Yeah,
because they bought that for a song. I think they bought I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was something like $5,000. They bought the Star Trek license for the toys, and they made millions off of the Captain Kirks and Spocks and all that stuff. So I don't know why they didn't jump at this, because they did turn down Star Wars the year before.
Yes,
and Kenner, they became millionaires from that, billionaires. So.
But I did like the Mattel figure. So I got my Cylon Centurion.
You know what the problem is with it? The legs don't move.
Yeah, I know.
It's
sorry,
cool
it's a bit.
Top. Yeah.
I'll take a photo. It's just not focusing very well here.
There was 2 types. There was a silver and a gold.
Yeah. Anyway.
Did you get the gold?
No, that was the Cylon Commander.
Yeah, that was the second wave. Yeah.
But I found his gun separately, which I'd used for a film I made off the planet as part of a spaceship. But I found it just like last week. So there was a Cylon, which I've got here. There's
the Adama.
I got the Ovion.
with the forearms. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That was in the
But
movie.
yes, but he didn't. I took off he had a cape or
A little
cloak.
cape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've
Like a
lost
little-
that.
like a net.
And I've got.
You got the Daggett.
I do. I've got Muffet.
Muffet. Is it Muffet?
Yeah,
Not
wasn't it
Muffin.
Muffet?
Yeah, Muffet with a T, like
Yeah,
Stephen Moffat.
yeah.
From,
Because it's technically it's Muffet too, because Muffet was the first
he got
Boxy's
killed,
dog,
yeah.
the real
You know,
dog.
there was a
and then
monkey in that. There was a monkey inside that thing.
It was a chimpanzee.
A chimpanzee. Well,
Yep.
whatever. But I'm
what
just
about you?
saying that was kind of creepy.
So, he was pretty cool.
He was cool. Yeah.
So I had that. I used to have, but I don't have them anymore, unfortunately. They used to bring out, so they brought out the spaceships. The whole thing with the spaceships,
I had those.
they were pretty accurate. I had the Scarab, which was sort of like a land vehicle, and I had
that.
the.
It had two things. The thing came out, right? It was
Yep.
the front of the Viper.
Yes,
You
and
could
same with the
tilt it up.
interstellar probe. That basically,
Yeah.
the cool thing with them was that you could take them apart and put them
Right.
together a bit, a little Lego-esque, not really, but
No,
you could,
no. But they're interchangeable. You couldn't do that
Yeah.
with the Star Wars. You couldn't do that with an X-wing. You know what the
Which was
coolest one was? The Cylon Raider. It looked like a frisbee or a
Yes.
throwing disc,
yes,
and it had two guns on each side. You pull the wings open.
yeah, they were really good. They looked like the
Oh, yeah.
they looked like the actual ships from the TV show.
Oh, yeah,
Unfortunately,
but
there
the-
was the
The
incident.
guy inside was
Yep.
tiny though.
Oh, they
Remember
were.
the little? Yeah, they were little tiny figures, maybe about an inch and a half, 2
They were
inches,
tiny,
maybe?
and they could just bend at the waist. So,
Yeah, but they were
and with the
inside. The
arm-
fact that they had that was some detail. Yeah, but you were going to say that's the sad part of the story
is that a young, I think a 4-year-old child got one of the missiles
projectile.
lodged in his throat and sadly passed away, unfortunately. And as a result, Mattel had to put on all their products caution choke.
Well, no,
caution.
they
Yeah.
they
Oh well,
stopped
I'll get to that. They first had
okay.
caution choking hazard, and then the family sued Mattel and everything like that. So then they had to put in the missiles. So the missiles, instead of ejecting the ones I had, they just sort of just went pop out.
That's it. Yeah.
And of course, that's why we didn't have a vintage
Rocket Fire and
Boba Fett.
Because of that,
sadly,
yeah.
yes. So
That was one of those things I'm like, was that always true or was it an urban legend?
I looked it up last night, and I did find actual newspaper articles from that.
So it was true.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
because I was, was it true? Yeah, it's one of those stories.
I'd always heard it and I was like, oh, did it really happen?
Unfortunately, it did. So that sort of maybe had an impact on the toys. Obviously, the cancellation of the
show,
the TV series had a problem with the figures. They obviously released.
Did you get the board game?
And all those? I've got.
You still have it?
I've got the board game here.
Oh yeah. See, I thought the graphics on that were really cool. I like the red and the yellow.
So this is the Australian version. You can see where it says from Tall Toys.
Yeah.
So Tall Toys also, if you
pretty
remember,
much looked like the one I had, the Mattel one. Yeah. Or Milton Bradley.
And this.
What is that?
That's the Super 8 version.
Oh, is there sound with that?
Yep. So.
Wow, look at you.
So I watched that last night with Kelly. So unfortunately,
how long is that?
That one goes for 15 minutes and 55 seconds. Unfortunately, it's part 2. I was bidding for both, and I missed out on part 1, and I ended up getting part 2. So
I'm amazed that those things are still in good shape. That celluloid hasn't deteriorated or anything.
It's a little pink and reddish. What happens is that happens, but it's pretty good. And we watched Buck Rogers on Super 8 yesterday as well, and that looks pretty good. And
the colors aren't faded?
No, they're pretty good. And the last one I have is my.
You had a 12-inch one.
Yeah. So it's a bit hard to see, but what it was unfortunately he's missing his ray gun is broken. That's the thing. But what you would do is you'd go. So it's like an energizer with a battery, and his ray gun would light up.
Oh, okay. Does his light go back and forth?
And yeah, there was a thing hang on, I'll show it here, where you can go.
Oh yeah.
And you could move his eye.
Nice. That was always the cool thing about those characters.
Yeah. And they were pretty cool actually. I liked
Did it talk?
No, no,
It didn't say by your command.
no, unfortunately. But it just so there was him and a colonial warrior, which sort of looked like Lorne Green,
Oh yeah,
but it was actually based on 1960s. Is it Matt Mason toy
yeah. Matt
line?
Mason was the bendy guy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they had they were reusing the molds for Adama. So
they had model kits too.
yes,
I'm pretty sure they had model kits because I always lugged the Battlestar. No. You know what they had?
yeah.
The best toy I ever got for Christmas 1978. It was the Battlestar Galactica. It looked almost like a cell phone would nowadays. It's like,
Oh,
bigger
the
than,
video game. Yes.
yeah, Mattel made it, and it was just a bunch of little red lights. But it was I played that thing forever, man. I had a hole wearing out my thumb because what you would do is it was like Space Invaders. You would have your missiles down on the bottom,
Yes.
and the Cylons would come at you, and you had to press the button. And depending on where you intercepted them and blew them up, that's how many points you had. And it was like a scale of like 1 through 10. And the
Yeah.
more you got them towards the top of the screen, you got a higher score. But man, oh man, I must have played that thing forever. And the funny thing is, I'm telling you, like the real spaceships, they were just little dots.
They were just LED lights.
LED lights, like a calculator. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, that wasn't even the original. It was originally a Alien Attack or something like that.
Oh, they just put the name on it?
And then they just slapped Battlestar Galactica, and on the glass they put a little picture of the Galactica.
Yeah. And it wore out because I remember, the sweat from your thumb
Yes.
would wear out the sticker on it. But you know what they had too on breakfast cereals here? There was 3 cereals: Frankenberry, Boo Berry, and Count Chocula.
Yes.
And I believe they were made by Ralston or Purina. I can't remember. But on the back of those, you could send away in the box tops, and you would get the Battlestar Galactica kit. And you know the patch that they wore that had the little like triangles, the I don't know, the military patch? I believe those were in the cereal box because I remember getting some of those. And then, but if you sent away, you got this cardboard command center that was on the back of the box. I never sent away for that, but it looked damn cool.
It is on eBay, so if you want to have a look, and I'll put up a picture. I'll put up a picture of it so we can.
40 years ago, and it's still on eBay.
Yep. And
Yeah.
the other memory I have is at primary school. One of the kids had the giant. It was like huge.
Ship?
It was the Battlestar Galactica. It sort of looked like the Battlestar Galactica launch bay, and it would shoot out these foam Vipers.
Yeah, they did have that.
Yep. And that was pretty cool, I thought.
Mattel made that.
Yep.
And then there was also a Marvel comic book. I had that too.
Yes.
And Walt Simonson, who's famous for doing Thor, he worked on that comic book. I think it was written by a guy named Archie Goodwin, who also did the Star Wars story.
Yes.
But it didn't last that long. It lasted maybe, I'm going to say 18 issues, maybe 22 issues. But it was a pretty good comic, though. Yeah.
So if you're interested, there are quite a few, there's quite a few collectibles. They're not that expensive. I did see when I was looking on eBay, I'm looking for a 12-inch vintage Obi-Wan Kenobi and some of the 12-inch figures. And I found the large,
Cylon.
Not the Cylon, the Colonial Warrior in its box. $40.
Really?
$40.
That's it?
Unfortunately, postage to Australia is like $100.
Oh yeah, all right.
So I thought, I won't get that. But there's some really, reasonable, collectibles out there. There's some great books. They had The Art of Battlestar Galactica. They
had one of those photo novels. Did you know what a photo novel was?
Yeah, I've got a stack of photo. I don't think I've got Battlestar.
No,
Galactica.
I think I had the movie. I think they did the 2-hour movie. I'm pretty sure I had the photo.
Well, you can get the series on Blu-ray. So if you really want to watch it, I'm sure it's probably on like Hulu.
It's probably on, Amazon.
The movie itself is really good. I do remember being freaked out by. Remember when they went to the planet, which was actually where the Ovions were.
Yeah, they
had the singers and the female singers with the
double
3
mouths.
Was it with 3? Was it 3 eyes and 3 mouths?
3 eyes and 2 mouths. Yeah.
That gave me
that bothered
nightmares.
you, huh?
Yeah,
And I remember
that did.
Jane Seymour dying. She was Boxy's mom. She
Yes.
died off on the like third or fourth episode because I think she didn't want to be stuck on that show. She was like, I just don't want to be on here. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, didn't Maren Jensen, who played Athena, didn't she leave the show before it was over too?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure she did not make the whole series.
Yeah, I really don't know.
And then they brought a blondish hair actress. I can't curly blonde hair.
Yep.
She came on as the love interest for Apollo.
Okay.
Because
I'm not sure.
Dirk Benedict, he hooked up with Cassiopeia.
Yes.
It was a very pretty girl. I can't think of her name right now, the actress. It began with a D, her last name. Like a French sounding name.
Let me have a think here.
Something.
Let me have a look. Hang on.
Catherine did something.
I meant Lorette Spang.
That's close enough. But I swear to God, I met Richard Hatch years later at a comic show in Boston, and he was there, and he was always promoting his own personal sequel to Battlestar Galactica. He was trying to finance it. He was doing like before Kickstarters maybe, and he was trying to get like groundswell for people to do it. And he even made like a little trailer.
Yes, and he had John Colicos in it. He had like some of the alumni.
Herbert Jefferson was in it. Yeah, Boomer was in it, and I can't remember. Was it whoever the fellow was that played Colonel Ty? Was the actor. He was in that movie too because Lauren Green, I think, had passed away by that point.
Yep.
And Hatch was great. He was always a really cool guy with the fans. I met him there. He was doing sword tricks or like, twirling stuff. He was very active, very energetic, always talking to folks. And then I met him with my son, Spencer, years later in New York. And he was remembered me. And I don't know how those guys do that, but I remember you from Boston. And we just started talking. And he passed away very young.
He did, unfortunately. He seemed like a very passionate and one of these.
He was in great shape too, but
Yeah.
I think he maybe died of cancer.
It could be. I know
it was something very quick.
Yes, it was quite a shock actually. So
yeah,
and you also had the pleasure of meeting Dirk Benedict.
I met Dirk Benedict twice. In fact, he was at a show. I'm going to say, was he there with Richard Hatch? He might have been there with Richard Hatch. We were at a show in Massachusetts. It wasn't well attended at all. And Richard Hatch, yes, they were both there. That's the last time I saw them, Richard Hatch and Dirk Benedict, but they weren't getting along too well. And they weren't sitting next to each other and talking to each other. And Dirk Benedict was just walking around, chatting up with all the vendors and the guests and stuff. But always a nice guy. He went on, of course, to become the face man.
Yes.
In the A-Team.
Yep.
Or he was the star of the Snake movie.
Yes.
The guy would become Snake.
I do remember that.
That's the title of it. SSSSSSSS.
Was Joan Collins wasn't in that, was she? Who was in that? I'm trying to remember. Anyway, have you thought of getting Dirk Benedict for Terrificon?
Now I have, because you mentioned that the other day, because I know haven't you ever met Dirk Benedict?
No. I remember we're in Australia. We don't get a lot of celebs. This is the closest I get to talking to a celebrity. So
you're damn right. Damn right. People are trying to call me all day. It's another story.
I know.
Yeah. No, there's nothing.
We should
I'll try. I don't know who else is left from the show.
I think Boomer's still around.
Boomer's around. Yeah. John Colicos, he passed away. He was on Star Trek. He played one of the Klingons.
Yeah, he was a villain on Mission Impossible as well.
He had good eyebrows.
Yeah, Maren Jensen, she stopped acting in like the mid '80s, and
Gene Seymour's still around, but I don't think she talks about Galactica much.
No.
No.
I think that would be
Ken McCord's around. That's Galactica 1980. Why don't you like the new show? The redo of it.
Because I think I just am such a fan of the original. They just changed it too much. You know, I wanted Apollo and Starbuck, and I didn't get that, and I didn't want it. It just got a bit too.
You got to admit that was a great episode in Galactica 80 when they tell you how Starbuck's marooned on a planet with a Cylon. He calls him Psy.
Yes,
it's kind of like Enemy Mine. You know that movie with Lou Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid. But that was before that. This is obviously 1980.
But even in 1978, there was the Mad magazine send up of it in the Superman the movie issue, and I do remember that even then they were saying which we're ripping off basically which planet do we crash land on? Is it the Planet of the Apes ripoff? Is it the Poseidon Adventure ripoff?
Yeah.
And it was a little bit. It did end up getting a little bit
a
like
little
that,
bit.
unfortunately. But it was, weekly television was different in those days.
I say, did they film a scene in Egypt? I remember them walking around pyramids.
They did, and but it obviously wasn't with it was just body doubles.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh man, you're ruining the magic, because I can remember they would say, "Oh, this is the Lords of Kobol," and they went there and they found him, and that's how they found out more about the Earth and all that. But they didn't really go to Australia, huh?
No,
I mean Egypt.
Not that I'm aware of, unfortunately.
Whatever. Now I want to go watch it.
Well, you could get Kent McCord and Barry Van Dyke.
Barry Van Dyke.
If Terrificon's still on, look, it's not. They're probably thinking, oh well, it's the 40th anniversary of Galactica.
After they watch this video, the phone's going to be ringing off the hook.
That's right. I'll talk to Barry. You get him. You get all your Diagnosis Murder fans.
I had one of the guys from Diagnosis Murder at my show. Christian. Yeah, Slater.
Charlie Slater.
Yeah, he was at the show 2 years ago. He was the voice of the Flash and Kick Bukowski on TV.
And
Very
he was
nice
also
guy.
Ferris Bueller on the TV show.
He was?
He was.
I didn't. He's always talking to me on Facebook. He's a very nice fella. Yeah, he survived.
He was also in a movie with Kylie Minogue called maybe The Delinquents, I remember.
You want to get Charlie on the phone now?
No, that's okay. You don't.
Okay, no, I mean,
I'm just saying. Well, maybe, but I'm just saying.
He was the Flash on the Justice League, and then he couldn't do the TV series, so they got Michael Rosenbaum, who was Lex Luthor on Smallville, to do it. So there you go. He was also the Flash. Yeah.
So anyway,
nothing to do with anything. We're doing it, Ed. We're go off track.
I know. That's okay.
That's
okay. Quick, where's Baby Yoda? Where's Baby Yoda? There we go. Everything's right in the world.
The ratings are going back up, Ed.
That's right. We're going into single digits now, which is great. So that's it. Battlestar Galactica. It's a favorite TV series of ours. Hopefully it might be a favorite TV series of yours. I'd certainly recommend watching it if you haven't done so. Even just the
time on your hands.
Yeah,
do it.
Why not? It's great fun, great special effects. There's lots of Star Wars connections, and it's a bit of a blast. It's a bit serious, sort of. It was a little bit serious as opposed to Buck Rogers, which was a little bit more jokey.
And one of the last times you see anybody smoking on TV.
Well, the face man was pretty much Starbuck.
Oh, I know, but you don't. You can't smoke on TV.
No, but he had a cigar in.
No, George Papard had that little thin cigarette too.
Yeah, but that was a lot of smoking in the A-Team.
Yeah, but
that's being shown on free to air TV here right after the Black Woman. So that's usually on in the background.
Did you like that show?
I didn't mind it. It got to be a bit ridiculous.
Well,
I was more of a MacGyver man. So
what?
I was more of a MacGyver man.
Oh, I thought you said Spider-Man. I was like, wait, what?
Only the Nicholas Hammond version, of course.
Damn right, Nicholas Hammond, who lives in Australia, right down the road from you.
I played Friedrich. He played Friedrich in The Sound of Music. That's our
like
connection.
Your twins. And you know what? He's supposed to be a Terrificon this year, but things happen. He was supposed to come up from Australia.
That's all right. I'll have to wait for him for next year. That's okay.
Yes, let's get through this. Oh, by the way, I have the only thing. By the other merchandise we had, I forgot to tell you, there was a magazine, a poster magazine that used to come out. They did it for Star Wars. They did it for the Incredible Hulk. What you would do is you'd get this magazine size thing, but you would unfold it and you'd unfold it and you'd unfold it again, and you'd end up with like a 24 by 36 poster. And I had the Battlestar Galactica one, and it's still here somewhere in my house, but I can't find it. And the only thing I could find was my copy of the Starlog yearbook.
Yes.
And there's a 2-page spread right there.
Yeah.
With Battlestar Galactica and our guys. And there was a new line of Battlestar Galactica toys a couple years ago. I bet you didn't remember that. I'm talking 1998 or 99. I was working at a company called Micro Warehouse here in Norwalk, Connecticut, and the KB toy store across the street, they came out with Cylons.
Yes.
But they were bulkier. They were beefier Cylons, and they had the red light in their eyes. And it didn't say by your command. I don't think it did. But I remember buying them, and the chase figure was the gold Centurion.
If I can find a pic, I'll put it up.
Not only that, Hallmark, a couple years ago, the exclusive that they would do at conventions, and I can't find it, and I've had it here for 2 years. And just when I went to go look for it, I can't find it. But they made for the Christmas tree a gold Centurion limited edition convention special Christmas ornament.
Oh,
and
cool.
That's everything I know about Battlestar Galactica.
Except for the 3 Funko Pops that you can get. You can get Starbuck, Apollo, and Adama.
Where's that?
Well, we've got the Australian headquarters of Funko Pop in Geelong.
Is that like a new thing?
Well, they're a few years old. They're on clearance. They're only $9.99.
They didn't make a Cylon? That's the only iconic thing you'd want from that show.
I don't know. Do you want the
Lauren Green,
Adama, Starbuck, and Apollo?
No. But I can't go by that Starbucks coffee shop without thinking of him every single time.
Yeah.
When I go, oh, Starbucks. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. But then again, it's based on a Shakespeare character too. The name. Anyway.
There's lots of things. There's a thing. Anyway. So that's our little snippet on Battlestar Galactica. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope that inspired you to maybe go watch it or do an eBay search and pick up some, fantastic collectibles. Who wouldn't want their own little robot dog? So I thought that was pretty cool.
Did they ever have a cereal though?
Oh, I don't think so. I'll look it
so.
up. They just had the cereal premium, so that's all right.
That was a lot of yarns ago.
Yes, a couple of centons.
Yeah,
I did like their terminology where they came up with their own ridiculous words. But frack is pretty good. I mean, if you've got it's a good way to swear on TV without getting the censors onto you. So I thought that was kind of good.
A Micron too.
Yeah, that's right.
That was one of theirs.
And a Betamax and everything like that. But anyway.
Really?
I don't know. So that's it for episode 4 of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe. Maybe write a comment below if you have a fond Battlestar Galactica memory. Signing off. I think we made it in pretty good time too.
Yeah. We didn't frack it up.
I'm Ed Dollister.
I'm Mitch Halleck.
And this is Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.